There's a lot that goes into getting ready for your first art market. I'm here to make it as easy for you as possible. I'm going to show you how to get started on a budget and create a nice, professional looking display. Join me in real time as I set up for a real market, and I'll show you everything that I do to get ready. Now, unless you're doing some sort of indoor show, you're going to want a tent. Some festivals will have specific requirements for your tent, so be aware of that before you invest. But for the most part, I have found that they just require a 10 by 10 vendor tent, and some of them will want it to be white. So you want to make sure that you get white when you start out with, so you don't have to replace that later. I use this one by ABC Canopy. It's an easy up, and it comes with detachable walls, which is something that multi-day festivals will require, so that way you can close up your booth overnight. But if you're on a budget and not doing multiple day events, they come without walls as well, so you can save yourself some money there if you like. Now here we are just attaching my banner. I had this printed at a local print shop, and then I attach it with Velcro. Now you'll notice we didn't raise the tent up to its full height. That is because we are attaching my display walls, and it's easiest to do it when the tent isn't 10 feet tall. So these are not the walls that come with the tent. These are sun tarps that I am attaching with these bungee balls to display my artwork. This was the biggest hurdle I had to overcome when I decided I wanted to do tent events, was how to display my art in an affordable but professional looking way. If you've looked online, there are really only two main options for displaying fine artwork, and they are very expensive. It can range anywhere from $300 to $700 per wall. These tarps are about $40 a piece, which is phenomenal savings, especially if you're just starting out. I will have the ones I have used linked below, because you do want to make sure you're getting a good quality heavy duty tarp. If it is one of those cheap plasticky sun tarps, your hooks are going to fall right through. So I will have all of the supplies I use linked in the description. I do get a very small commission at no cost to you if you purchase through those links. It's a great way to say thanks for all of the free information I am sharing with you in this video. So when we are doing the walls, I like to use the same bungee ball to attach both grommets on the tarps. That gives us really good tension. This tarp solution has worked really well for most of the artwork that I have tried to hang on there. If something's heavy, I can usually just disperse the weight between multiple hooks. Or if something's very heavy, you're going to just want to grab a chain and hang that one item. But this works great for most of my originals or prints. There's a lot of things you could hang on these, and they're very lightweight. We just fold them up and store them in an old bedding bag. There's almost always one vendor whose entire tent blows away in the wind. Do not let it be you. You want at least 100 pounds holding down your tent. I like to use these sandbags on each leg of my tent, and if the show requires more weight, I will slip on stackable weights underneath them. The stackable weights work nice, but they can be costly to get enough to reach the weight that you need. The most weight that I have seen an event require is 200 pounds, but you always want at least 100. If you're traveling and you need the weights to be lighter, they have these that you can fill up with water when you arrive at your destination. I haven't used the water ones before, but I wanted to share that idea in case you need something like that. Okay, so now that the tent and the walls are up, we are going to start on all of the display pieces. So think of your tent as your little store for the day. The more attractive you make it, the more buyers you'll pull in to look at your product. Decor and aesthetic is very personal, so I do recommend attending some markets, browsing Pinterest to get ideas of things you would like to do for your own aesthetic. I keep mine pretty simple. I've only added a little banner that I attach with the same bungee balls I use on the tent. And then I've got a few signs and tablecloths just to layer it up. So covering up those table legs is essential, not only for aesthetics, but it also is a great place to hide all your stuff. You only have this 10 by 10 square for you to have everything in. Most of the time, festivals and markets do not give you an additional space to store all of your things. So I would account for anything that you need to have throughout the day, finding a place where you can safely tuck it away where it's not going to disrupt the flow of your little booth. I always pack a cooler full of ice, water, snacks, and if you don't want to end up spending all your money at the food vendors at the show, you'll also want to pack meals. After my first market, I learned it is essential to pack a little container of market emergency supplies. It always comes in handy. Fill it with anything you need to fix, hang, or otherwise finish anything you come across that is broken or overlooked. I fill mine with wire cutters, hanging wire, scissors, tape, paint pens, Sharpies, little screwdriver, screws, strings, batteries and power banks, medicine, anything that can go wrong, I am prepared to handle it with this kit. I also like to bring a couple fans to keep both us and our patrons a little cooler in these hot summer days. Here we are setting up all of my coasters. I had taken them all out of my ties to photograph and forgot to tie them back up. So my sweet husband is very patiently retying all of my coaster sets. So a few years ago, I switched from doing individual price tags to one sign that has all of my prices on it for each thing. And it's made my life incredibly easier. I don't have to worry about tagging each individual item. And then if I have to ever change prices, it's one thing I've got to change. So you are going to want multiple ways to take payments. Being able to take credit cards is a must. I recommend a Square Reader. They're super easy. When I started, I just used the one that plugs into your headphone jack, but I've now upgraded to the contactless model and I love it even more. A money transfer app is also a must. You can use Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. I keep my QR codes for those in a frame on my table. All right, so here we are hanging the art. I just showed you the curtain hooks that I use. The really nice thing about these curtain hooks is that they're very deep set. So the painting sits down like really deep on the hook. So it's not going anywhere. The paintings might sway a little bit in the wind, but they are on that wall. They're not going to fall. The downside to the curtain hooks, though, is that they do have a sharp end. So you could also use an S hook if you can find some that are thin enough that they will slide through the mesh tarp. I'll have to experiment with that someday, but for now, these are working fantastic. Now, for my larger canvases, like the one in the middle there, I do disperse the weight between like 2 or 3 hooks, and that's been working really nicely for the most part. Now, for labeling my art, I do find it sells better if I have like the title and a bio for each painting. So I did something different this year. I got dry erase index cards and hot glued a safety pin on the back. In hindsight, I wish I would have used a larger safety pin. So if you do this, I would get really big ones. I had to have someone stand on the back of the wall to help me pin them in place. But I really like the idea that I can reuse these and not have to keep printing off labels. They are a little crafty looking with the handwriting though. This is what they looked like before when I printed them off. Let me know what you think you like best. I think maybe if I'm doing a high-end show, I should go the printed route, but I like the idea of this. Okay, let's talk about nighttime. As a visual artist, having good light on my work is incredibly important. When the sun goes down, you don't want to be caught in the dark. If you have access to power, string lights work great. However, most of the time, markets are not in places where power is accessible. Do not waste your time with battery or solar-powered string lights. They are just not bright enough. I recommend using rechargeable magnetic under-cabinet light bars. If you get magnetic ones, they can stick to the poles of your tent. They're bright and affordable enough that you can buy as many as you need. For my tent, I like to use 6. I can get by with 3, but 6 is better. All right, let's get back to the booth that we were setting up. Everything's almost ready. This is a smaller market, so we're only doing 2 walls this time. I've got my art prints here. Now for the paintings I have on the wall, I always plan out how I'm going to hang everything the night before. I will tape off a big square the same size as my tent, plan out where everything goes, take a picture of it so me and whoever is helping me set up knows exactly where everything goes. It takes a lot of the guesswork and helps things go a lot smoother when we are setting up. This is my director's chair. I do not want to be standing for 8 hours at these events, so having a chair that puts me at eye level with everyone else that is standing makes me feel really good. And on the end of my tables, I always have a treat bucket for kids and my stickers. It helps pull people in to the booth. Last but arguably the most important thing you'll take with you is a good attitude. Happiness is contagious and essential, not only for appealing to your customers, but also for your own enjoyment and success at the event. Have a fun time. Always remember that when you put energy into your business, that effort comes back to you, if not always at the time or place that you expect. You will have bad days. When sales are slow, spend your day networking with the other vendors, learn from them, swap contact info, make it a goal to pass out all your business cards. I've had shows where I didn't make back my booth fee that day, but then a month later, someone orders a painting through my website. Or I learn about a festival from my booth neighbor and then end up having a lot of success at that event. Attitude is everything, and time spent going after your goals and your dreams is never wasted. I hope this has been helpful to you. If you have any more questions or things that you would like me to address in the future, please leave me a comment down below. I would be happy to cover it.